Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband in the grocery store because he started acting like a toddler? We all go through phases and pick up annoying habits. And sometimes we just need our loved ones to gently tell us if we've picked up a particularly egregious habit. Sometime in the last year, my husband has picked up a habit where he talks like a baby. At first it was funny, but passed into embarrassing, cringeworthy behavior quickly. Examples: doggy, puppyer, woofer or subwoofer, pibble, burb, meow, Sammy, little chicken, adding a toddler-esque list to words. And the ones that really get gross are childish euphemisms for genitalia or X. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is not endearing or sexy to have my husband talk about my breast and his wiener and intimate parts, and in terms I don't even want to talk about because they make me throw up. Nostalgia for scrubs be damned. We have not had X for 6 months because he cannot stop talking about my breast, and it makes me just sick. Just before the pandemic hit, we were out at a restaurant with some friends. He actually ordered a chickie. Sammy said that exact phrase. Chickie. Sammy. Look. It's totally fine that he ordered the chicken sandwich. That's not the issue. Our friends noticed the baby talk, because he insisted on continuing the joke and even started talking with this god-awful toddler lilt accent. After that, I just couldn't stomach the idea of going out with him to adult places. I'd go out to the brewery with friends, but God forbid he join me and say me wanty another beer or something. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why he's doing this. I finally hit my limit when we were grocery shopping and everything seemed normal and fine until he gasped like a kid, ran to the ice cream section and jumped up and down yelling, "Ice cream, ice cream. I want chocolate in it." With of course a toddler kind of voice. I was mortified. People were staring at him and me. He kept going and kept saying, "Can we get Pepsi, mommy?" And I just said, "Either talk to me like an adult or I am leaving." He started saying, "You must be fun at parties then. And listen up. Will you?" And crap like that. I just said, "Duck it," and left the store, leaving him to walk home like a mile. It was fine because I couldn't even look at him. Since then, things have been very tense. And he keeps telling me that he wants an apology for embarrassing him by leaving him in the store. I told him that people don't get to demand apologies. If someone wants to apologize, it's up to them. And I am absolutely not going to apologize for saving myself the embarrassment of a 35-year-old man with a mortgage and retirement account asking for ice cream. He got his ducking mom involved. No joke. She keeps telling me it's just a phase, and that he's probably bored and I should be happy this is his midlife crisis, rather than him ducking 19-year-olds at the local bar. I am going crazy. Am I the a-hole? Do I really just need to let my husband continuously embarrass me like this? Edit. Sorry. There was only so much space. I have talked to him multiple times, especially about the soul comments. I've made it extremely abundantly clear that him using terms like my breast and intimate parts in his way of saying it are absolutely repulsive to me. Among other things he says. Info. Does he have a job? Yes. And he acts completely normal as far as I know. He worked from home for a while during lockdown. And I never heard him talk like this to anyone he worked with. Does he do it with friends? Sometimes. And it's generally meant to annoy them or gross them out. But he stops. He has friends where they think it's cute to embarrass each other. Is this a kink fetish? If so, I am absolutely done. Edited because it was offensive. Has he seen a doctor? No. But I've asked him if he needed to talk to someone because he was acting strange. And he accused me of being stuck up and judgmental. Given that he doesn't act like this with his coworkers or his family, and only jokes around with his friends, I am willing to bet that this is an indication that he's trying to force this fetish on me non-consensually. Or trying to get me to leave. Is it a tumor? I don't know. Like I said above, I asked him if he needed to see someone. I can't force him even if I want to. Just find out if there's any way we can salvage this. But after this post closes, I will try to get him to. Maybe his sister can encourage him. Even though he acts completely normal around them. Does he have childhood trauma? As far as I know. And I am relatively close to his family and would likely know. The most traumatic thing he had happen was a minor car accident when he was around 13 years old. No injuries. No death. Etc. He hasn't been in a car accident in the past 2 years or anything like that. And I haven't. And as far as I know, no one else in his family has been. Etc. I want to send you a chat instead of my comment getting lost. Please don't. I've had a number of people repost this to make fun of me because I didn't respond the way they wanted. Etc. Just comment. I can at least to respond to those and help others get an idea of what's going on. Update. Hi all. Here's the original post. The Am I the A-hole mods declined to allow me to post the update because I do not have the videos described below. Well, here I am with the update. I talked to my husband after doing some soul searching. There was no tumor. No kink. No childhood trauma. I asked him first if he understands why I am upset. And to please clarify if he was doing this on purpose, or if we needed to seek medical intervention. He didn't want to tell me at first and I got worried. He eventually caved when I suggested we look for a doctor because of how worried I am. It was a bet with one of his friends that started as them trying to embarrass each other in public. He bet my husband that he couldn't keep it up for the whole year. The only off-limits part was at work. Because he couldn't jeopardize his career. No. He decided to jeopardize his marriage instead. For what prize? What was he going to win? A signed baseball. Just a baseball. I thought he was still joking. No. He was dead serious. How was the friend verifying? My husband would share little videos he took here and there of him upsetting me with the baby talk, including times he tried to initiate X by whispering this baby talk in my ear. I wasn't in any state of undress. And by seeing us in public like at the brewery. He got cross with me in the grocery store because I interrupted the recording and almost blew the whole operation. He wasn't remorseful or apologetic. He thought we were both in on this little joke and that I'd find it hysterical. I asked him. Did he understand we haven't had X in months? No, it didn't matter. It was all worth it to him. He kept saying you just don't get it. It's not just a baseball. I told him the joke was over. It was time to stop for good. But that I was willing to move on with him. I could forgive him. No. He wanted to keep going. There are only 2 months left in the bet, so he's so close. He said we can have X if you want. We'll just pretend XYZ, and I was just like, why does thinking about your friend even factor into this? What's wrong with you? You never had to do this and ruin our intimate moments. But I just didn't get it. He had to be in character all the time. After a lot of arguing and tears, I left him. I'm heading up to Colorado to be with my family through Christmas. And then I'm going to move in with my sister for a little while to figure out next steps. I hope it was worth it. I was told that their decision was final. And then someone says, not to me, but to someone completely different, that I could have posted screenshots with my sister, Thanks for that. A holes. Honestly. Sounded like he was passive-aggressively punishing her. Or trying to force her to break up with him. Anyway. It worked. I remember this post. What a piece of crap. Who destroys their marriage for cheap laughs and a signed baseball? I would be petty in the divorce and try and get the baseball. And solely as a duck-up to the soon-to-be ex. This made my skin crawl. So gross. I kind of want an update to the update. What was their divorce like? Did he use baby talk the whole time? Just. Blia. Only way to get the baseball. Gotta stay true to form throughout the divorce proceedings. Sorry, but why on earth would the mods demand that? Video proof and stuff. Surely that would leave her open to doxing. Put her at risk. And invade her privacy on a supposedly anon platform. Is there something I am not getting here? The mods on Am I the A-hole go on real power trips sometimes. There's no rhyme or reason to it, it's just small-minded people letting a tiny bit of power go their heads. I think that their moderation style really plays into it too. I once applied to be part of the team. And got a response back. I love moderating. Helping people out. And keeping a space safe for everyone, but after reviewing all the requirements I decided it just wasn't worth it. Like they don't even have a Discord group for fast discussion. All talk must take place in mod mail. You must log all your actions. Removals and bans. It sounded so tedious. Second story. I accidentally found out my fiancé has been creating erotic fan art and fiction for years. I am not judging, but when I mentioned it to her, she became furious. Me and my fiancé have been together for 6 years now. I love her dearly. My fiancé has always been huge into drawing in her free time. Frankly, she is really good at what she does. She has shown me a bunch of stuff in the past, and if I recall, she always posted it to her Deviant art. Most it is of video game characters. Some of her artwork is suggestive. Yesterday, I was talking to a co-worker about video games. And I remembered my fiancé did some art for one of the games we were talking about. So I decided try to go and find it. Being lazy, I decided to punch in her username into Google hoping to find her Deviant art. Except I had a lot more stuff come up. Google showed a bunch of pictures, I guess you could call them the not safe for work version of art she has done. I ended up clicking on them and being sent to my fiancé's Hentai Foundry profile. I just kind of shrugged and didn't care. However, in the Google search results, I also noticed a link to an archive of our own story with her username. This got me kind of curious, so I decided to take a peek, expecting it to be just old fanfiction stuff she wrote ages ago. There was a lot of stuff, including recent stuff in her profile. Most of it was, I guess, what you would call erotic fanfiction. At this point, I found it funny. And when she got home on Friday night, I offhandedly mentioned what happened and how I found it humorous. She got very, very upset at me and started acting like I caught her cheating or something. I told her several times I am not kink shaming, etc. She told me I violated her privacy and broke our trust. She said that stuff had nothing to do with me and I had no business snooping. I tried my best to calm her down, but she was visibly upset last night. All of today she has been very upset. To the point where she said she needed to spend some time at her sister's. I have apologized and told her it was an accident, and I have told her several times that I am not being judgmental about what she draws. However, she is still very upset. At this point, I am at a loss for what to do. Too long didn't read. I found my fiancé has been drawing erotic fan art and writing erotic fan fiction accidentally. She is furious at me. What should I do? Update. She came back after I sent a large apology message, apologizing for laughing at her fanfiction, and it was not done out of malice and more out of awkwardness. We had a long talk about it. I explained I wasn't that comfortable with her keeping such a large amount of her life secret hidden from me. She also admitted that oftentimes, when she was saying she was working late in our home office, what she actually meant was she was writing drawing stuff, and just wanted to be left alone. I told her I had no problem with her hobbies, which made her happy. She also told me that she is so embarrassed because a bunch of it is self-inserts of her, and some of it would make me unhappy reading it. I asked her to show me, and she eventually agreed. I read some of it, and it didn't bother me at all. In my opinion, to me, fantasizing about fictional characters isn't a huge deal, as it is simply a fantasy and not real. I asked if some of the things she writes are things that turns her on, and I told her I am willing to try anything at least once. Yesterday night she actually sat down next to me and started writing while I was next to her on the couch. And she didn't seem embarrassed at all anymore. So I guess this is good. Thank you for your help. Too long didn't read. Me and my fiancé were able to work things out. And she isn't so embarrassed anymore about it, and is willing to share with me. Thanks for the advice. I suppose I can weigh in on this, since I have been a hobbyist artist in similar communities. My work is rather more vanilla than what you describe from your fiancé, but I drew a lot of slash art which can be seen as similarly weird by people completely divorced from fandom culture. The thing about these communities, especially NSFW communities, is that they are generally very insular and full of like-minded people. I am talking in broad strokes, but the majority of online artists do not treat their social media in the same way. Especially a website like DeviantArt, which is very specifically for artists' fans. Most of the people your fiancé interacts with on these sites and shares her interests with are likely online friends who she met through the content she and they create. Despite being technically public, interacting with others under a handle and having that stable foundation of shared interests with your audience is a very comfortable feeling. She will not be accustomed to judgment, as 90% of the people who discover her content organically will be due to a genuine interest that lead them there. I liked the anonymity and thrived from these accounts being largely separate from in real life social media like Facebook, etc. But I gave out my usernames to friends I trusted, held common interests with, and who knew I liked to draw. Much like your fiancé clearly did with you. But it was wildly uncomfortable when other people started to find it through them, and I no longer had control over who in my life it was shared with. It doesn't mean that feeling was justified. It was public. And in all likelihood my friends just wanted to support me, or were curious. And I didn't even have anything particularly suggestive in my media. But fan content in any form is widely looked down upon or seen as juvenile in the eyes of the general public. So I couldn't help but have a defensive reaction towards anyone who I saw as outside of these communities. Your fiancé clearly had work she was happy to share with you, which is great, but also evidently wanted to maintain the control over what you saw. It's ultimately her fault for not communicating that, especially if there were so few privacy measures in place on her accounts, and all the explicit content could be found through her primary username. But if she private that content, she would be creating a barrier towards the like-minded people fans she wants to reach with her work. She may also be upset you were showing her stuff to other people, and that they may in turn learn her handle. But I think the bigger issue is that you described this discovery to her as something amusing. Both art and fiction are incredibly personal, labor-intensive time investments. No less so for the content being lewd content. She probably felt judged or ridiculed by the way you relayed this story. Like her hobby was reduced to something silly in your eyes. And I'm afraid backpedaling with reassurances won't do much at that point. She'll see your initial reaction as your honest feelings, even if you were only intending to tease her good-naturedly. It's different to if you caught her looking at a specific type of fetish lewd content. She made all of that, probably poured hours into them, Her reaction was likely a knee-jerk one from feeling violated because you saw deeply personal work she wasn't ready to share with you. Of a subject matter that many people would find perverted, deviant, weird. If you care about comforting your fiancé at all, I would ignore all the righteous comments telling you she's being ridiculous because it was a public account, etc. Even though it's true and this wasn't your fault. That's not the hill you want to die on with someone you love. Don't apologize for snooping because you didn't, but for seeing something that she obviously wasn't ready to share with you. I would emphasize you are proud of her talent and wanted to show it off. Which is why you were Googling her in the first place. But be ready for her to say she'd rather you didn't, especially anyone she also interacts with personally. Definitely discuss what boundaries you are both comfortable with WRT, her online presence going forward. And apologize for approaching her as though this hobby was something silly, humorous. I think giving her some space to let the initial embarrassment simmer down is a good idea. 2. Good luck. Original poster. I hope I could clear up any confusion as to how your fiancé may be feeling. I really don't think you are guilty of anything here except maybe being a little tactless. But unfortunately there are a ton of people who wouldn't be as cool and non-judgmental as you are. Keep up that attitude and I'm confident her defensiveness will fade away with time. Third story. Girl with boyfriend confesses feeling for me. So I 22 male met this girl 21 female. Let's call her Christine. Last semester in 2 of my classes. About 6 weeks into the semester I asked her out and got rejected. The response was I'm flattered. But I also don't want to give the wrong impression. I felt bad but didn't regret it. 2 days after asking her out we had class, and we both acted like nothing had happened, and just had a convo like we always do. I asked what her plans were for Halloween, and she mentioned quietly something about doing something with a boyfriend. I thought it was odd she had never mentioned boyfriend, but now felt better about being rejected. But I still had some feelings towards her, but obviously knew I couldn't be with her. So as time went on, me and Christine got a little closer, and always had a nice convo in class, and when we walked to parking lot to leave for the day. The last week or 2 of the semester I noticed Christine got more friendly with me and opened up a little more, and I honestly wasn't sure if she liked me in that way or not. Then one night we were submitting a project and she texted me telling me that she likes me but is in bad spot because she has a boyfriend. She said if you had asked me out at a different time, I would have 100% said yes. I know it's unfair on me to say yes, I like you but can't do anything about it at the moment. She would then say I hope this doesn't ruin our friendship. She also said she probably shouldn't be telling her feelings for obvious reasons. I was caught off guard, but at the same time I was thrilled because I really liked this girl. But I was also confused as to why she was telling me this. Again, we just kinda acted like this didn't happen and didn't speak about it. Over the winter break we texted for 5+ hours like every 2 or 3 days, and for one day we texted for 13 hours. Today I learned 2 a.m. We also got food one night, and she gave me a ride home from a bar. But nothing happened between us. I finally had enough of wondering and asked her, are we ever gonna be anything, or are we just friends from here on out? She basically told me what she did 3 weeks prior about liking me, and can't do anything. She also said 3 times if the opportunity presented itself in future. We could be something. By the way, she's been dating her boyfriend for 3.5 years. So I'm just confused as to why she did any of this. She's not a dumb person, and she always seemed level-headed. I told her I can't text her or hang out with her because that's not something I do with girls in relationships. She agreed and understood, but I could tell she was slightly disappointed. Too long didn't read. Girl with boyfriend tells me she likes me but can't do anything about it. I'm confused. She's keeping you on the hook in case things don't work out with her boyfriend. That's what I don't quite understand. If the relationship was less than a year, I could sorta understand not being completely confident the relationship lasts a long time. But dating someone for nearly 4 years, and not being 100% confident. You're right. She might have been trying for an affair. Hit like If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our channel.